No warnings, no negotiations, just three explosive words: get out now. Captain Ibrahim Traoré did what generations of African politicians only dreamed of. He looked straight into the eyes of France and ordered them to leave his land for good. This was not diplomacy, this was war, a political war for Africa's soul. France didn't see it coming, because this time, Africa isn't asking, it is commanding, and this time, the world has no choice but to listen. Why did Traoré tell France to leave? Can one man really kick France out? Why is France so scared of this man? This is the story of a leader who said, enough is enough, and meant it. From the late 1800s until 1960, Burkina Faso, then known as Upper Volta, was a French colony. France controlled the region, taking resources like gold and cotton, imposing the French language, and forcing the people to adopt the French culture. When Burkina Faso gained independence in 1960, France's influence was supposed to end, but independence in name did not mean freedom in reality. Through a system known as Francafrique, France maintained control over Burkina Faso through trade agreements, military bases, and political connections. In spite of all this control and influence, the country's situation did not improve. It still continued to face many challenges. According to a World Bank report, over 40% of Burkina Faso citizens lived on less than $1.90 a day, making it one of the world's poorest countries, even though the country is rich in gold. Its gold, which generates billions of dollars annually and accounts for 70% of its exports, is mostly controlled by foreigners. French companies such as Orano have long been involved in this industry. Yet most citizens see little benefit. Schools lack resources, healthcare is limited, and 20% of Burkina Faso children suffer from malnutrition. It became evident that France profits from their resources while they remain in poverty. But that is not all. French is the official language, but only about 22% of people speak it fluently. Most of them use local languages like Moor or Dioula. Yet the government and education systems prioritize French, which feels exclusive to many. How can they communicate in a language they do not understand? As if that is not enough, since 2015, many jihadist groups have caused widespread violence, displacing over 2 million people and controlling nearly half the country. France stationed troops in Burkina Faso under Operation Sabre to combat these groups, but it did not look like it was working. It even seemed that France's presence was more about maintaining influence than solving the crisis. If French troops are here to help, why is the country less safe every year? Between 2015 and 2022, terrorist attacks in Burkina Faso increased dramatically. Over 10,000 civilians, soldiers, and police officers were killed, millions displaced. Entire regions became no-go zones. These situations frustrated Ibrahim Traoré as he felt his country deserved to be better than that. He became determined to end France's influence over his country's economy, culture, and security. He wanted his country to reclaim control and build a new future. So he started carrying out bold actions that left the world speechless. The very first thing he did was to end France's military presence. In January 2023, he terminated a 2018 military agreement that allowed more than 400 French Special Forces soldiers to operate in his country. Since the situation was not getting better, why keep them around any longer? It was one of the boldest moves by any African leader in decades, a complete severing of military dependence on the former colonizer. He gave France 1 month to withdraw its troops, and a formal flag-lowering ceremony was done on February 18, 2023, to mark the official end of French military operations. France tried to play it cool. They called it a reorganization, but everyone knew the truth. France had just been kicked out. Traoré stated that he wanted Burkina Faso to take charge of its own security and be self-reliant. He then started reducing Burkina Faso's diplomatic relations with France. What he did not know was that this action would cause the French government to start trying to bring down his government. In December 2022, Traoré expelled the French ambassador, accusing France of interfering in his country's affairs. In April 2024, he also declared 3 French diplomats persona non grata, giving them 48 hours to leave. He accused them of anti-government activities, although he did provide the details. It became obvious that France was not happy about his activities and were trying to stop him. But rather than stop, he intensified his actions. He started taking economic measures to reduce French control over his country's resources. He nationalized some of the gold mines and withdrew the licenses of some other French gold mining companies. He also launched plans for a new Gulf refinery to reduce reliance on French companies. He even restricted the exportation of raw gold exports to France and other Western countries to prioritize domestic processing. All these actions made France angry, and they were looking for any way to paint him as a villain. The French government started using its media agencies, like the Radio France Internationale, to spread rumors about Traoré. They also started working with neighboring countries like Ivory Coast and Benin to destabilize Burkina Faso. But Traoré was not done yet. Not only did he ban the French media, he also banned French unfunded cultural institutions like the French Institute. He decided to promote local culture instead. He also introduced policies to phase out French as the sole language of education, mandating local languages like Moor and Dioula in primary schools. This move was to make education more accessible and reduce the cultural dominance of French, which only 22% of the population speaks fluently. Traoré also declined a $50 million 0-cents aid package from France, calling it a tool of control. Instead, the government launched a public savings campaign, encouraging citizens to invest in national bonds to fund schools and clinics, and more than 100,000 Burkina Faso citizens participated, raising $30 million 0 cents. This initiative fostered a sense of ownership, with many citizens saying they feel part of the nation's future. But no country can survive as an island, so Traoré started searching for new partnerships to replace French support, and he found one in Russia. He started developing diplomatic ties with Russia. He visited the country and met with the president to ask for advice and support. The fact that Traoré was against Western countries like France made Russia welcome his partnership, and they started working with him. The Russian government reopened its embassy in Burkina Faso, and Russian military advisors visited Traoré to discuss his country's insecurity issues. Traoré was also happy to sign gold deals with them, unlike what he did to France. This new eastward pivot shocked the West, making France accuse Russia of exploiting African chaos. The US also warned of foreign manipulation. But Traoré fired back. "We are not children. We choose our partners. We choose what is best for Burkina Faso." Slowly but intentionally, he wiped out France and its influence in his country, leaving no stone unturned. However, these actions have only angered France more, and France's President Emmanuel Macron called the actions of Ibrahim Traoré a sign of ingratitude. He believes that Burkina Faso should be grateful to France for everything it had done for the country. In an attempt to pressure Traoré's government, France also suspended its aid, worth 10% of Burkina Faso's budget. France stated that the suspension was due to regional instability, but in the real sense, it was just a retaliation for Traoré cutting ties with France. However, everything that has happened since Traoré chased France out show that Traoré was right to do so. Since the beginning of Traoré's actions, the economy of Burkina Faso has significantly improved. His government is focusing on keeping gold profits at home by building processing plants, which has created approximately 12,000 jobs for the citizens. Agricultural improvements, such as solar-powered irrigation systems, have also increased crop production. A 2024 World Bank report noted a 2.5% growth in Burkina Faso economy, driven by mining and farming, and it is only going to get better in coming years. However, inflation also reached 5.3% in 2025, according to the IMF, making everyday goods more expensive. And there is only one reason. The CFA franc, a currency linked to France, which is still being used by Burkina Faso, limits its financial independence. However, Traoré is already working on that, and sooner than later, Burkina Faso will be freed from it. But while the economic situation is improving, security remains a significant challenge. Jihadist attacks continue, with rebels controlling 45% of the country. With wide French troops, Burkina Faso relies on its military, volunteer groups, and equipment from countries like Russia. This has made it more difficult, but the government claims it is building a stronger local defense, and with Russia's support, it is only a matter of time before it becomes history. Culturally, the changes are inspiring. Teaching in local languages has increased school attendance in rural areas by 9%. The children are now happy to go to school now that they are being taught in their local languages and can understand better. And that is why students in these classrooms perform 15% better in reading compared to those in French-only classes. This is significant in a country where 70% of adults are illiterate. The entertainment industry has also gotten better, and technologically, young people have started developing apps, such as a Diula language literacy tool with 50,000 downloads in 2025. Community radio stations now broadcast in languages like Fulfulde, sharing practical advice with rural listeners. These efforts have fostered a sense of national pride. These has made the public support for Ibrahim Traoré remain strong. In March 2025, thousands rallied in Ouagadougou following rumors of a coup attempt, showing loyalty to Traoré's government. Supporters abroad in places like London and Johannesburg also held demonstrations as well. Traoré's actions are transforming Burkina Faso's economy, security, and culture, but challenges like insecurity continue to threaten the country. However, his actions are not limited to his country. Traoré's decision to cut ties with France is having a profound impact both within his country and across the region. Regionally, his stance is inspiring change but also creating tension. Mali and Niger have taken similar steps, expelling French forces and cutting ties with the French government. In 2023, Traoré joined forces with Assimi Goïta of Mali and Abdourahmane Tiani of Niger. Together, they formed the Alliance of Sahel States, an agreement to protect each other militarily and economically. The alliance shares intelligence and conducts joint patrols. This alliance represents a direct threat to the West's control of West Africa. But to the people, it is hope, it is resistance, it is a revolution. Culturally, Mali has also introduced Bambara language radio, and Niger is producing films in Hausa. But Traoré is not just influencing that region. Other countries in Africa are also following his lead. Senegal launched a 2025 initiative to teach in Wolof, and Ghana hosted discussions promoting African self-reliance, inspired by Traoré's actions. His movement is transforming the African society and inspiring African countries, but it faces significant obstacles. Can this vision succeed, or will it fail? Burkina Faso's decision to end France's influence is reshaping its economy, security, and culture, with effects felt across the region. It is a bold effort to reclaim control, but let's not be naive. France has never taken kindly to losing its influence. From coups to economic sanctions to assassination attempts, history shows that when African leaders challenge French interests, things get messy. But how far will France go to regain control? And how far is Traoré willing to go to stop them? Ibrahim Traoré has drawn the line in the sand. He has told France, get out now. Let the world know that a storm is brewing in West Africa. And Ibrahim Traoré is leading the charge. What do you think? Is Traoré the hero Africa has been waiting for? Or is this revolution doomed to be crushed like so many before it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe in a truly independent Africa, one where the people choose their destiny, share this video and subscribe.